Your soulmate has been holding this in their heart. My beloved child, before your next heartbeat steals this moment away, listen with complete attention, because what has remained unspoken for so long is finally beginning to find its voice. You did not arrive here by accident. Something invisible has been moving behind the scenes, quietly arranging moments, thoughts, and emotions that neither you nor your soulmate fully understood. But today, the silence surrounding their heart begins to crack. Stay a little longer, because every sentence from this point forward is connected to the title you were meant to discover. Your soulmate has been holding this in their heart. Imagine carrying a feeling so powerful that words become too small to contain it. Not because the feeling is weak, but because it is too precious to risk being misunderstood. That is exactly where your soulmate has been standing. For what feels like an eternity, they have replayed countless conversations inside their mind. They imagined saying everything. They imagined finally revealing what has lived deep within them. Yet every time the moment seemed close, another wave of uncertainty whispered, "Not yet." But what if "not yet" is quietly transforming into "now"? Pause for a second and think about that. How many extraordinary stories begin with something that remained hidden until the perfect moment arrived? What if this very chapter of your life follows the same pattern? What if everything that once appeared delayed was actually being protected until both hearts could recognize its true value? Don't rush ahead. The next moments matter more than you realize. Because your soulmate has not been hiding ordinary thoughts. No. What they have carried is much deeper. They have been holding quiet admiration. Silent gratitude. Questions they wished they could ask. Dreams they never dared to describe. Every ordinary day became another page in a story that only their heart was reading. Strange, isn't it? Sometimes the loudest emotions make the least amount of noise. And perhaps that explains why nothing obvious appeared on the surface. Destiny often whispers before it ever announces itself. There were moments when they almost reached out. Moments when a single message nearly escaped their hands. Moments when they believed this would finally be the day everything changed. Yet something kept telling them to wait just a little longer, not because the feeling disappeared, but because they wanted the timing to honor what they truly carried inside. Before you continue, remember this thought. The strongest connections are rarely built through rushed moments. They grow quietly, beneath ordinary days, until suddenly the impossible feels completely natural. What if the reason you felt an unexplainable shift recently isn't your imagination at all? What if somewhere, your soulmate has also sensed it? What if both hearts have been moving toward the same invisible destination without realizing it? You might be closer to that answer than you think. Wait until the final moment of this journey, because every piece is beginning to fit together. There is something remarkable about feelings protected by patience. They don't fade. They mature. Every unanswered question becomes wisdom. Every silent hope becomes stronger. Every unseen step prepares the road ahead. And deep within your soulmate's heart, one realization has continued growing stronger with each passing day. Some truths can only be delayed for so long before they naturally begin searching for the light. That moment may be approaching far faster than anyone expected. Not through coincidence. Not through pressure. but through perfect alignment. So stay with me, because this is only the beginning. The next chapter uncovers what your soulmate has been protecting inside their heart all this time, and why the reason behind that silence is far more surprising than anyone could have imagined. Now, let the silence speak, because what has remained hidden for so long is beginning to reveal its true purpose. If you've stayed with this message until now, it's because something inside you refuses to walk away. That quiet pull isn't random. Sometimes the heart recognizes a truth long before the mind can explain it. And perhaps that is exactly what has been happening between you and your soulmate. For a long time, they believed that protecting their feelings was the safest choice. Not because those feelings were uncertain, but because they were incredibly real. They feared that speaking too soon might change something beautiful before it had the chance to grow naturally. So instead of forcing the story, they allowed time to become its silent author. Think about that for a moment. How many meaningful things in life begin quietly? A sunrise doesn't announce itself. A seed doesn't make noise as it becomes a tree. The strongest foundations are often built where no one is looking. In the same way, your soulmate has been carrying something extraordinary beneath the surface. Every passing day has only deepened what they feel, even if the outside world could never see it. But recently, something shifted. A simple moment. A passing thought. A memory that refused to leave. Suddenly, they realized that silence was no longer protecting their heart, it was preventing it from growing. That realization didn't arrive all at once. It unfolded slowly, like light filling a room before anyone notices the darkness has disappeared. Stay a little longer. Because this next realization may change the way you see everything. Your soulmate has started understanding that some people enter our lives for ordinary reasons, while others arrive to awaken parts of us we never knew existed. Every lesson, every delay, every unexpected turn has quietly pointed them back toward one unforgettable thought. And no matter how busy life became, that thought continued returning with greater clarity. It was never about forgetting. It was always about understanding. Understanding why certain connections remain unforgettable. Understanding why some names echo inside the heart long after the conversation ends. Understanding why destiny sometimes asks us to become stronger before allowing the next chapter to begin. Maybe you've felt something similar. A feeling that refuses to disappear, even when you try to explain it away. What if that feeling has never been leading you backward? What if it has been preparing you for what lies ahead? Before we continue, if this story has touched something deep within you, share your thoughts in the comments. Someone else may read your words at exactly the moment they need encouragement. And if these messages continue to resonate with your heart, consider subscribing so you won't miss the next chapter of this journey. Now listen carefully. Your soulmate has reached a point where keeping everything inside feels heavier than expressing the truth. The walls around their heart are no longer built from fear, they're becoming doors waiting for the right moment to open. Every experience has prepared them for that single decision. Not a dramatic moment. Not a rushed confession. But an honest beginning. Before you go any further, remember this line. Sometimes the greatest turning points don't arrive with noise. They arrive with quiet certainty, changing everything before anyone realizes the story has entered a brand new chapter. And that chapter is much closer than either of you can see. Because in the next part, you'll discover the one promise your soulmate made inside their own heart, a promise they have never spoken aloud, yet it has been guiding every step they take ever since. One final truth remains, and this may be the piece that brings everything together. If you've come this far, don't leave now. The journey has been leading to this very moment, where the hidden promise inside your soulmate's heart finally begins to reveal its meaning. You may think you know where this story is going, but the next few moments may surprise you in the most unexpected way. For a long time, your soulmate believed that love was something to be searched for in distant places, extraordinary moments, or perfect circumstances. But as life continued unfolding, they slowly discovered something completely different. The answer they were searching for wasn't waiting somewhere else, it had been quietly growing within them all along. That realization changed everything. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was a calm certainty that settled into their heart and refused to leave. Since that day, they have carried one silent promise. A promise that no matter how uncertain tomorrow may appear, they would never allow fear to become the author of their future again. They promised themselves that when the right moment arrived, they would choose honesty over hesitation, hope over doubt, and faith over endless what-ifs. Stay with this message. Because the meaning behind that promise reaches further than you imagine. Every challenge they faced became preparation. Every unanswered question became wisdom. Every delay became another reminder that timing has its own quiet intelligence. Looking back now, they no longer see lost opportunities. They see lessons that shaped them into someone capable of appreciating a connection that is genuine, steady, and meaningful. Isn't it remarkable? Sometimes life doesn't remove people from our path because they don't belong. Sometimes it simply gives both hearts time to become ready for the same destination. Think about your own journey. How many moments once felt confusing, only to make perfect sense later? Perhaps this chapter is no different. Perhaps every unexpected turn has been gently guiding both of you toward a meeting point that neither heart could have reached any sooner. Before the story reaches its conclusion, hold on to one simple thought. The most valuable connections are not built by chasing certainty. They are built by becoming the kind of person who can recognize it when it finally appears. That is exactly what your soulmate has been learning. Instead of searching for signs everywhere around them, they began paying attention to the quiet changes happening within. Their perspective became clearer. Their priorities became simpler. They realized that the strongest bond is not created through perfect words, but through sincerity, patience, and the courage to be authentic. And that is why the feeling they've been holding in their heart has only become stronger with time. Not because it was forced. Not because it was imagined. But because every passing season quietly confirmed what they already sensed deep inside. Now imagine this. What if the next chapter of your life doesn't begin with a dramatic event? What if it begins with a single conversation? A single unexpected moment? A single choice that seems ordinary at first, yet becomes the reason you one day look back and say, that was where everything changed. Wait just a little longer. The story isn't ending, it is opening a new door. Because the greatest revelation was never simply what your soulmate has been holding inside their heart. The greatest revelation is that those hidden feelings have transformed them into someone ready to embrace the future with clarity, confidence, and unwavering hope. And in the next chapter, you'll discover the unexpected sign that finally convinces your soulmate it's time to stop holding back. And why that single moment changes the direction of their entire journey forever. A quiet signal is about to appear, and once it does, nothing inside your soulmate will feel the same again. Stay until the end of this chapter, because this is where the silence begins turning into movement. For so long, your soulmate believed that waiting was the right choice. But now, life itself is placing gentle reminders in front of them. Small moments that seem ordinary to everyone else, yet carry extraordinary meaning to the one who is paying attention. It didn't happen all at once. It began with a memory that returned without warning. Then a familiar feeling appeared during an ordinary day. Then came a question they could no longer ignore. What if this is the moment I've been preparing for all along? That single thought echoed louder than anything else. For the first time in a long while, they stopped asking whether they should keep their feelings hidden. Instead, they began wondering what might happen if they finally allowed truth to replace silence. Think about how remarkable that is. The greatest transformations rarely begin with dramatic events. They begin with one honest decision inside the heart. And your soulmate has reached the edge of that decision. Every experience that once seemed confusing now feels connected. Every delay now appears meaningful. Every unanswered question has quietly become part of a much bigger picture. Stay with me. Because the next realization is the one they never expected. Your soulmate has discovered that real connection isn't measured by perfect timing, it is measured by the courage to take one genuine step when the moment finally arrives. They no longer want fear to decide what remains unspoken. They no longer wish to wonder forever about the possibilities that were never explored. Instead, a new confidence has begun growing within them. Not loud. Not rushed. Just steady. Just real. And perhaps that is the strongest kind of confidence anyone can possess. As you're listening, take a moment to share where you're watching from in the comments. It's inspiring to see people from different places connected by one meaningful story. And if these chapters continue to resonate with you, subscribing simply means you'll be here when the next part of this journey unfolds. Now, picture this. Your soulmate pauses for a moment, looks back at everything life has taught them, and smiles, not because every answer has arrived, but because they finally trust the direction they're walking. That changes everything. When hope replaces hesitation, even the smallest step can become the beginning of an unforgettable chapter. Before you leave this part, remember these words. Some hearts don't open because they are forced. They open because they finally feel ready. And your soulmate is closer to that moment than ever before. One final piece still remains. Because in the next chapter, you'll discover the unexpected turning point that gives your soulmate the confidence to stop holding back, and why that moment feels as though destiny has been quietly preparing it from the very beginning. The waiting is beginning to fade, because the next step has already started unfolding where no one can see it. Don't look away now. Every chapter before this one has been quietly leading to a single realization, and what you're about to hear explains why your soulmate could no longer keep everything locked inside forever. For so long, they believed the future would reveal itself through one dramatic sign. But life surprised them. Instead of a single life-changing moment, countless small moments began connecting like pieces of a forgotten puzzle. A familiar song. A meaningful conversation. An unexpected feeling of peace. A dream that stayed with them long after morning arrived. None of these moments demanded attention on their own. Yet together, they formed a message impossible to ignore. And suddenly, your soulmate understood something that had escaped them for far too long. The heart does not grow stronger by hiding. It grows stronger by becoming honest. That realization didn't create fear. It created freedom. For the first time, they stopped worrying about what could go wrong and started wondering how beautiful life could become when truth finally replaces uncertainty. Stay with this story, because the next thought may become the most important one you've heard today. Every delay that once felt frustrating has quietly shaped both of your journeys. Without those seasons of waiting, neither heart would have gained the wisdom, patience, or clarity needed for what comes next. Sometimes life slows us down, not to hold us back, but to prepare us for something we could never appreciate if it arrived too soon. Your soulmate sees that now. They no longer measure time by days or months. They measure it by growth, by understanding, by becoming the person they always hoped they could be. And that quiet transformation has changed the way they see everything, including you. Not through fantasy. Not through unrealistic expectations. But through a deeper appreciation for genuine connection, kindness, trust, and the courage to remain authentic even when the future is unknown. Think about this for a moment. How many people spend their lives searching for certainty before taking a single step? Yet certainty rarely comes first. Courage does. And courage has finally begun replacing hesitation inside your soulmate's heart. That is why this story feels different now. The silence is no longer empty. It is filled with purpose. Every heartbeat carries a little more confidence. Every new day brings another reason to believe that the chapter ahead can be brighter than the one left behind. Before this part comes to an end, hold on to one final thought. The greatest journeys are not remembered because everything happened perfectly. They are remembered because someone chose hope when giving up would have been easier. Your soulmate has made that choice. And because of it, the distance between silence and truth has never been smaller. The final chapter is approaching. In part 6, you'll discover the beautiful message your soulmate has been longing to express. And why the ending of this journey feels less like an ending, and more like the beginning of something neither heart will ever forget. This is the moment everything has been quietly preparing for, so don't leave before you hear the final words. From the very beginning of this journey, one question has remained in the air. What has your soulmate been holding inside their heart? Now, as every piece comes together, the answer is no longer hidden behind silence, it is revealed through clarity. Your soulmate has discovered that the greatest feelings are never defined by grand speeches or perfect timing. They are revealed through consistency, patience, and the quiet courage to remain true to what the heart has known all along. For so long, they carried a message that never found its voice. Not because it lacked meaning, but because they wanted the moment to be worthy of it. Now they understand something that changed their entire perspective. The perfect moment isn't something we wait for forever. Sometimes, we create it by choosing honesty. That realization has become the turning point of their journey. Imagine standing at the edge of a new chapter, not knowing every detail of tomorrow, yet feeling completely at peace with taking the first step. That is exactly where your soulmate finds themselves today. The questions that once filled their mind have become quiet. The uncertainty that once slowed their heart has been replaced with calm confidence. Stay with me until the very last line. Because this final message carries the heart of everything you've heard. Your soulmate has been holding one simple truth. They never wanted a connection built on pressure. They never wanted words spoken out of fear. They wanted something genuine. Something that could grow through trust, understanding, and mutual respect. That quiet dream has remained alive through every season. And now, instead of asking whether it is possible, they are asking how they can become the best version of themselves for the future that lies ahead. Isn't that where every meaningful journey begins? Not by changing someone else, but by allowing ourselves to grow. That is the hidden message your soulmate has carried all this time. Growth before expectation. Hope before doubt. Truth before fear. Every experience has shaped them into someone who no longer wishes to hide behind silence. They understand that life rewards sincere hearts willing to take meaningful steps, even when the destination is still unfolding. Before this story ends, remember one thing. The greatest treasure was never a mysterious secret. It was the transformation that happened while the secret remained unspoken. Because that transformation prepared your soulmate to embrace tomorrow with gratitude, wisdom, and quiet confidence. And perhaps, that is the real miracle of this journey. If these chapters have spoken to your heart, share this video with someone who may need a little hope today. Leave a comment telling us which moment touched you the most, and if you'd like to continue exploring stories of destiny, growth, and meaningful connections, we'd love to have you here for the next journey. Until then, carry this thought with you. Some stories don't begin the day two paths cross. They begin the day two hearts quietly become ready for the future they are meant to create. And maybe, just maybe, that future has already started. Wait. There's one final layer to this story that almost no one notices, and it changes the meaning of everything you've heard so far. If you've stayed until this moment, it's because your heart sensed that the journey wasn't truly over. And you were right. Sometimes the greatest revelation isn't found in the middle of the story, it's hidden in the final pages. Your soulmate has spent so much time wondering when the right chapter would begin that they almost overlooked something extraordinary. It had already begun. Not with a dramatic event. Not with a sudden miracle. But with a quiet transformation that happened one choice at a time. Every lesson they accepted. Every fear they released. Every hopeful thought they protected. Each one became another step toward the person they were always meant to become. And somewhere along that journey, they realized something unforgettable. The greatest gift they could ever offer wasn't perfection. It was authenticity. Stay for these final moments. Because this truth deserves your full attention. Your soulmate no longer measures life by what they haven't received. Instead, they treasure how much they have grown. They've discovered that every season, whether filled with answers or questions, carried a purpose that couldn't be understood until looking back. That's why they no longer feel trapped by uncertainty. They feel guided by possibility. Imagine standing before a door you've been afraid to open for years. Then one day, without force, without pressure, without hesitation, you simply reach for the handle because something inside finally whispers, "You're ready." That quiet whisper has become stronger than every doubt your soulmate once carried. And perhaps the most beautiful part of this entire journey is this. The message they kept inside their heart was never only meant for another person. It was also meant for themselves. A reminder to believe again. A reminder to trust again. A reminder that hope becomes stronger every time we choose it. What if that's the hidden reason you found this story today? Not to predict the future, but to remind you that meaningful chapters begin with meaningful growth. Every ending creates space for a beginning. Every unanswered question prepares us to appreciate the answer when it finally arrives. Every quiet season teaches us something that noise never could. So as this journey reaches its final words, carry this with you. Never underestimate the power of a heart that chooses patience over panic, kindness over fear, and hope over uncertainty. Because those quiet choices shape destinies more than anyone realizes. Thank you for staying until the end of this story. Perhaps the greatest message your soulmate has been holding wasn't simply a collection of hidden feelings. Perhaps it was this timeless truth. The strongest connections are not built in a single moment, they are built through countless unseen moments that slowly prepare two hearts to recognize each other when the time is right. And if this message found you today, maybe that's your reminder to keep moving forward with confidence. Because every meaningful